Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Today we continue our journey of recovery in the wake of Hurricane Beryl. As many of our communities work to rebuild and restore, tightening the screws on our roofs and picking up the pieces, it's crucial to remember one thing. There's always hope. As long as we have life, we have hope. So in today's edition, we've crafted a lineup filled with stories of resilience, community spirit, and practical advice to help you on the path to recovery. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the news.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Friday, July 12, 2024. Jamaica has welcomed 55,000 visitors to the island a week after Hurricane Beryl. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett attributes this to the island's ability to recover quickly in times of disruptions. He points out that while the country had no tourist arrivals on July 2nd and 3rd, things started changing on the 4th.
That's what resilience is about, because we're able to say to the world, you can come to Jamaica. I said that. And people say, oh my God, what is wrong with you? I said, of course we can come. 80% of our assets are intact and we are ready for you, so come. And they came. And they came because they had confidence in the promise that we make because of the integrity of that promise.
While lauding the efforts of his ministry, he says it's the understanding of the importance of building capacity to respond to major disruptions that has put us in a position to lead on the world stage.
So we don't talk about disruptions in a negative way. We talk about disruptions as one of the realities that we face in the tourism world, because we are highly vulnerable to disruptions. But we are hugely resilient because we bounce back faster than any other industry in the world. And that is why today, more than 150 countries have embraced tourism as an important way of driving economic activity in their space.
The minister adds that the 7th Global Resilience Crisis Center, an idea pioneered by his ministry, will commence building next week in Brazil. Still on tourism, the ministry's annual trade show, which wrapped up today, has had its biggest staging yet. Christmas in July, previously staged at the Jamaica Pegasus, moved to the National Arena this year, hosting 205 manufacturers from a cohort of 422 applicants. 106 of this year's manufacturers are newcomers. Tashika Clark of the Tourism Linkages Network says it's a move to revitalize the show and help newcomers build their brands.
The appetite for buyers is always large and they're always ready to see new stuff. So we encourage persons who are creating to always come on board with us, because we have a platform, we have space for you in tourism where we can always showcase your items.
Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett is expecting the trade show to best last year's $25 million in business contracted. He says every year the event improves by the number of participants or the level of business done.
But while we are doing that, we're also expanding the growth of tourism, which means the demand for more of these goods and services too from our small and medium enterprises is expanding, and we have to respond to it. And the 3-point strategy that I stated in my speech is now taking on a new life of training and developing our artisans and so on, so that their creativity will absolutely know no bounds.
With service to 65% of NWC customers restored, the government is now working to truck water to areas still in need and source generators for pumping stations. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the country's water systems were not developed to have an independent power supply, but in the process of building resilience, strategic decisions will be made for long-term endurance. This is to ensure the country can withstand and recover from other shocks like Hurricane Beryl that may come in the future.
So we have given a directive to the Minister without portfolio who looks about water, the Honorable Matthew Samuda, to develop a plan for us to get backup independent power supply for critical pumping stations across the island. So in the event of a loss of power, at least we would have the endurance of the system in our critical areas for our hospitals, for our schools, our police station, critical industries like the tourism industry, the BPO industry, that these industries must run and continue to run. They operate on a zero-fail proposition.
The Prime Minister says this provides the opportunity to build further resilience into the National Water Commission and give investors the assurance that the country has the backup system that will endure. The Administrator General's Department, AGD, is set to launch a national public education campaign on estate management this year. The announcement came on Wednesday during a meeting at the Ministry of Justice, where the AGD's strategic plan was finalized and presented to Minister Delroy Chuck. The minister expressed his full support for the initiative, emphasizing the importance of all Jamaican adults being informed about the AGD's services, particularly the process of making a will. Chief Executive Officer and Administrator General Stacey Ann Carty says the campaign aims to bridge the knowledge gap among Jamaicans about the work of the AGD. And finally, applications are now open for the Dr. Barry Wint Memorial Scholarship for persons pursuing studies in public health. The $2.5 billion pool of funding is being financed by the government, providing up to $1 million per recipient for up to 5 years. Applications can be done online at moh.gov.jm/scholarship and closes on July 31, 2024. The scholarship covers a wide area of studies and is open to graduates and postgraduate students, as well as those who are currently studying. Among the subject areas are medical technology, human resources for health, medical social work, epidemiology, medical physics, and health records management. The scholarship was first announced by Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, during his sectoral presentation in Parliament in May.
We can't be buying diagnostic equipment, digitizing, and have no one to operate them. We can't not have people who can do the analytics. In other words, take the data and analyze it, health economics, in order to tailor our response to the population. And so this scholarship is intended to solve that problem.
Recipients of the scholarship will be bonded to work in the public health system for a period of time. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
We've seen damages to all crop lines. In fact, we have seen about 85% of our banana and plantain lines go down, and that is in Portland, St. Mary. But when you come to the south, our vegetable lines, everything, our tubers, cassava, we've seen a lot of damages to fruit trees, ackee breadfruit, and unfortunately, significant damages to our greenhouse farmers. It's a really tough time for agriculture and fisheries, but we are resilient. We will bounce back, and we will come back even better.
Even in the face of such overwhelming destruction, our spirit remains unbroken. Our next feature offers a glimpse into a brighter future, one that involves planting for a sustainable life, starting with the young among us.
It's really not a secret that if the body is fed well, the mind functions better. That's why in May of 2022, the Ministry of Education and Youth crafted the National School Nutrition Policy. One important part of the policy is the collaboration with schools to use local products in lunch preparations.
When it comes down to the matter of nutrition, it's a whole school, whole community, and that is why we would have met with the vendors, we would have updated them in terms of the approach, in terms of the goal, and I must say the vendors have been super supportive in terms of the role that they have to play in ensuring that whatever is it that they are also providing to the student is healthy and nutritious.
Another key feature of the policy is its focus on supporting the most vulnerable students in primary and secondary schools. And so, in collaboration with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, the school feeding program ensures those in need always have a meal at school. Another innovative aspect is the introduction of the School Garden Project.
A total of 10 million was allocated for the program. Of that amount, 9 million was distributed to the schools for them to have their school gardens. The aim is really for greater parental and community involvement. We as the ministry realize that if we get the support of our community, if we get the support of our parents, it will enforce what we are desirous to obtain, and that is to have students practicing, maintaining healthy eating habits. When we look at the growing rate of obesity among our Jamaican students, there is need for concern.
One of the institutions in Kingston and St. Andrew was chosen to be a part of the school container project, receiving $375,000 to begin their garden. Now it grows a variety of herbs and vegetables, including Cersei tea, black mint, spearmint, cucumber, pak choy, lettuce, and cabbage. The exciting news is that all vegetables harvested from the garden go directly into the school feeding program, becoming part of the daily lunch menu.
Learning comes alive for our students. We use our garden to be a part of the teaching and learning process, so concepts comes alive as we integrate the garden into teaching and learning. So daily, our on-site management team comes in with the students and they check the plants for insects, they ensure that they are watered properly, and then if it is that their class or their teacher has a scheduled lesson, they'll come back to the garden for that lesson.
Students like Jovian, who previously knew nothing about vegetables, now grasp the planting procedures and can use what she has learned at home.
At first, I didn't know anything about the cabbage. I didn't know if it planted on a vine, a stem, or on a tree. But when I first came and I saw my principal, the support staff, and some of my classmates, how they sow the seeds and how many seeds they put in the nursery, I realized how I should do it, because I also have a cabbage farm in my yard and I didn't know how to do it. And when I first came, I realized that it grew into leaves, and then the leaves combined to grow the circular cabbage.
The Friendship Brook Primary School Garden has yielded rewards in more ways than one.
We were awarded winners for the best school container garden for Region 1 at the primary level overall, and that was excellent for us.
If you have a farm, right, it's going to seem hard at times, but you have to just learn to understand how the plants grow and how they are to become a part of their life, because it's come like you're their mother, because I take care of them like they're my own babies, because I treat them well, I grow them well.
With sustained support and cooperation, the school garden program will not only grow vegetables, but also cultivate healthy bodies and minds, which will ultimately improve children's academic achievement. It's an effort that guarantees that no child goes hungry.
It's this reality, scenes like these, that explain flooding of roads and homes in some areas, as the garbage buildup prevents the smooth runoff of heavy rainwater. It's clear then that one way to prevent clogged gullies and flooded homes is through the proper disposal of waste. Today, let's talk about one kind: plastic.
It is all around us. It's in almost everything we use. At times, it's impossible to imagine life without it, and yet, life with it could cease to exist. Plastic pollution is caused by the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment. It has extensive impact on the environment, marine life, and human health, contaminating waterways, harming wildlife through ingestion and entanglement, and disrupting ecosystems. But if this thing is so dangerous, why did we begin to use it in the first place? Even better, why don't we just get rid of it? As humans lived and consumed much of the planet's resources, thinkers began to look for a better way to provide for the needs and desires of people while keeping the environment intact. After all, nature can only produce so much wood, metal, stone, bone, tusk, and horn. The search was one for something that could replace and spare the Earth's natural resources. John Hyatt invented celluloid, the first artificial plastic, but it was flammable. Leo Baekeland invented Bakelite, the one responsible for modern plastic. Bakelite was the first fully synthetic plastic, meaning it contained no molecules found in nature. Marketed as the material of 1,000 uses, Bakelite could be molded into almost anything, providing endless possibilities. The creation of new materials also helped free people from the social and economic constraints imposed by scarcity of natural resources. When advertisements praised celluloid as the savior of elephants and tortoise, of course that's something humans could get behind. Plastics began to replace other materials such as wood, glass, and fabric in our daily items. Thus, the plastic revolution began. Fast forward to now, and plastic is in everything that we use: our bottles, kitchen utensils, food packaging, cell phones, televisions, computers, furniture, clothing, makeup, you name it. And thus the problem of plastic pollution. Did you know that almost every piece of plastic that you have used still exists? This is so because plastics do not biodegrade. That is, they do not decay naturally and in a way that is not harmful. Plastics generally only break down into smaller pieces, and even that will take some time. It takes about 20 years for a plastic bag to break down. Plastic water bottles and cups take 450 years. Our toothbrushes and disposable diapers take 500 years to break down. It means the things we use for our comfort and dispose of today will not disintegrate in our lifetime, causing not just problems for ourselves, but also for tomorrow's people. So with nowhere to go, plastics stick around and contaminate soil and waterways, disrupting ecosystems and harming biodiversity. Marine life, for instance, mistakes plastic debris for food, leading to ingestion and blockages in their digestive systems. This can cause injury, starvation, and even death. In addition, chemicals leaching from plastics can also harm marine organisms. The harm to our environment and animals from plastic waste impacts humans who use and ingest what nature creates. Microplastics have been found in seafood, salt, and drinking water, raising concerns about the health threat to humans by way of consumption. It contributes to the spread of diseases by providing breeding grounds for bacteria and other pathogens in stagnant water trapped in discarded items. It can harm human activities such as fishing, tourism, and recreation, which rely on healthy marine and terrestrial ecosystems. Furthermore, the economic costs of plastic pollution, including cleanup efforts and damage to infrastructure, ultimately affect communities. Additionally, exposure to chemicals present in plastic additives and pollutants absorbed by plastics may have long-term health implications, including endocrine disruption, reproductive issues, and cancer. Plastics are made from fossil fuels, which contribute to the climate crisis. In 2019, plastics generated 1.8 billion metric tons of greenhouse gas emission, which is about 3.8% of the global total. Addressing plastic pollution is crucial, not only for environmental conservation, but also for safeguarding human health and well-being. So, what is to be done? We need to significantly reduce plastic production and limit its use. It's something that will not be easy, but which experts say must be done. Recycling, while of some help, will not solve the long-term problem. We need to phase out single-use plastics, something Jamaica has already started. In addition to small bags and straws, the government and civil society-led agenda is focusing immediately on things like plastic lunchboxes and personal care products with microplastic beads in them. As a society, we all need to be involved in finding sustainable alternatives to plastics. Individually, we can spread awareness about the environmental movements and donate or join organizations confronting the issue. Without a clean and healthy environment, we cannot prosper and live healthy lives.
As we focus on rebuilding Jamaica, it's crucial to exercise heightened vigilance regarding the food we eat. Preventing foodborne illnesses and deaths caused by the consumption of contaminated food and drink is essential for the health and well-being of our communities. Our next feature will provide guidelines to help ensure the safety of the food we consume.
Part of maintaining good health is knowing our nutritional requirements and what is in the foods we consume. When we know, we are able to make better choices about what we eat and empowered to avoid non-communicable diseases (NCDs) such as diabetes, hypertension, cancers, and cardiovascular diseases like stroke and heart disease. In recognition of this, the government encourages consumers to look carefully on the ingredients and nutrition facts labels on foods.
NCDs is a national crisis, and what and how we eat is a contributory factor to developing or worsening. Our message, healthy eating, active living, read it before you eat it, places emphasis on educating and empowering people about the choices made for food consumption. In keeping with our vision for a healthy Jamaica, our goal is to equip Jamaicans to read food labels in order to make healthier food choices.
The fact that more than 70% of death in Jamaica are linked to NCD conditions, which are increasing, is enough reason for all of us to eat healthy foods, exercise regularly, and get adequate rest. Like sweet music to the soul, the healthy living message must resonate, and the Ministry of Health is chiming through the airwaves with its public awareness campaign.
Nutrition facts, it dey inna the table by the side or the back. Take note of the sodium, the sugars and the fats. 5% or less in upon the right track. You feel zoom in on the nutrition facts. It dey inna the table by the side or the back. Vitamins, minerals and vitamin 2, 20% and more that good for you. You feel zoom in. Check the nutrition facts. You feel zoom in. Check the nutrition facts. You feel zoom in. Check the nutrition facts. Less sugar, less salt intake and less fat.
It is our collective responsibility to take stock of the health impact of excesses in sugars, salts, and fats, and take steps to reduce consumption.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness, through the Nutrition Facts Panel media campaign, is fast tracking its response to the scourge of non-communicable diseases (NCD) by getting more Jamaicans to zoom in on what's in their food. The campaign is a collaborative effort of the Ministry of Health, the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, National Health Fund, and the Jamaica Association of Professionals in Nutrition and Dietetics.
I think this is a great start, and it supports the other things that we're doing, like school nutrition policy, the physical activity program, the elimination of trans fats, and so on. We have to see it all related and linked and make the push to get it working.
Preliminary Preliminary findings of a recent baseline evaluation survey for Nutrition Facts Panel Education campaign show that while 70% of Jamaicans have a general awareness of Nutrition Facts Panel and 69% express a positive attitude towards them, only 30% are able to accurately interpret and apply the information on them. Ingredients on food labels are listed from the greatest to the least amount of nutrients. Pay attention to things like fats, sodium, and sugar, of which you are to consume a percentage daily value of 5% or less. Keep these in mind as well. The general daily limit of added sugars is 6 teaspoons or 24 grams for women and children, while for men it's 9 teaspoons or 36 grams. Your fat intake should be 6 teaspoons or 30 grams, including 13 grams for saturated fat. The general daily limit for sodium is less than 1 teaspoon or 20 grams. It's also recommended that we reduce consumption of foods that have a percentage daily value greater than 20%. Choose foods that are high in dietary fiber, minerals such as iron, calcium, magnesium, and potassium, and vitamins. Go for products with percentage daily values greater than 20% for these nutrients.
It is important that Jamaicans learn to read and interpret the Nutrition Facts Panel with its information on serving sizes, calories, nutrients, and percent daily value for the individual intake. This will empower people to choose foods that allow them to maintain energy and the appropriate nutrient requirements, particularly sugars, salts, and fats.
So, next time you go shopping, remember to read it before you eat it. And don't just read it, do so and make the best nutrition choice for your good health.
Rebuilding is taking place in every community impacted by Hurricane Beryl. St. Elizabeth was one of the parishes hardest hit, with at least 10 to 15 communities bearing the brunt of its wrath. Homes were stripped of their roofs, trees were uprooted, and power poles lay broken, leaving countless families without shelter or electricity. But as the Member of Parliament for the parish's southwestern constituency, Minister Floyd Green tells us, recovery is on the way.
So we are now in the relief and recovery phase, and in that phase we've been working with our various entities to place special attention to particular areas. So the NAA has continued its drive to clean our main thoroughfares. That is going well, and in fact you can now access out to St. Elizabeth from all of our entrances. Additionally, Minister Vaz has been meeting with JPS and Digicel to accelerate the pace of restoration, and we're seeing the impacts of that. I want to thank all the groups who have been supporting our drive to bring direct relief to the people. We will continue to work through the ODPEM, through the disaster relief that we have provided to ensure that the citizens get that relief. We will continue, and we will continue to update you as we drive the recovery process in Southwest St. Elizabeth.
We've reached the end of our program. Get a recap of everything you saw here and more on our website, jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.